the cultural heritage of Southern blacks, more so than survivals of African cultures with which they had not been in contact for centuries. Even in colonial times, most blacks on American soil had been born on American soil. Moreover, such cultural traits followed blacks out of the southern countrysides and into the urban ghettos, north and south, where many settled. The very way of talking, later to be christened Black English, closely followed dialects brought over from those parts of Britain from which many white Southerners came.
Wow. So, oh, hey, yo, what's good? You know what I mean? Nonsense, huh? All that stuff come from England? Tell me, in Britain?
Though these speech patterns died out in Britain while surviving in the American South, as such speech patterns would later die out among most Southern whites and among middle-class blacks, while surviving in the poorer black ghettos around the country. For example, where a Northerner said, "I am," "you are," "she isn't," "it doesn't," and "I haven't," a Virginian, even of high rank, preferred to say, "I be," "you be," "she ain't," "it don't," and "I hain't." These Virginia speechways were not invented in America. They derived from a family or regional dialects that had been spoken throughout the South and West of England during the 17th century.
You want to even take slang from us, brother? You can't take slang from us. No, it did not come from Wales. It came from Southeast D.C., where I am from. Shit. Oh, yeah. And if y'all like this style of content, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, also the notification bell, so that you're first to be notified whenever we put new content out. And if you want to, if you want to check out more music and whatnot, please join the LFR Family Plus channel. You will see that in the link. Okay, thank you.
From these same regions of England came such words as yaller for yellow, axe for ask, across for across.
Axe. Go ask your mother. Stop asking me. Go ask your mother. You always ask me because I'm my kid. I use axe still to this day. Across.
Words as yaller for yellow, axe for ask, across for across, y'all for you,
I say y'all all the time.
For boil, dough for door.
What? Dough for door? Nah, man, that came from Crenshaw. Like over there in Lawson and you know, what's his Crenshaw and then in Compton. That's where that came from, in Slauson.
Y'all for you, bile for boil, dough for door, dis for this, and dat for that. Many of these usages have long since died out in England, though the word chitlins for hog entrails continued to be used in some localities in England, even in the 20th century, as such usage remained common among black Americans.
How do they sprinkle little green stuff on top of it to make it look good? It's still chitlins. Ugh.
But no such words came from Africa, nor did the holiday Kwanzaa, which originated in Los Angeles. The slaves' custom of marking their marriages by jumping over a broomstick, a custom resurrected at a posh wedding among blacks in 20th century New York as a mark of racial identity, was in fact a pagan custom in Europe in centuries past, and survived for a time among Southern whites.
I never understood that.
Complaints about the improvidence of whites in the South and of their ancestors in Britain before that were echoed in W.E.B. Du Bois's picture of his fellow blacks in the 1890s. Probably few poor nations waste more money by thoughtless and unreasonable expenditure than the American Negro, and especially those living in large cities. Thousands of dollars are annually wasted in amusements of various kinds and in miscellaneous ornaments and gewgaws. The Negro has much to learn of the Jew and the Italian as to living within his means and saving every penny from excessive and wasteful expenditures.
He ain't lying, man. He not lying. I swear to goodness, I know some people who still live in the hood and they cars are cleaner than mine, bigger than mine, shine better than mine, always on time. Well, they ain't never on time, they black. You know, y'all know. Y'all work with some, don't play with me. You already know. You know what? And when we get, it's like lunchtime too. Lunchtime don't start. Our lunchtime don't start until we get back to the office with our food. Sorry. Everybody else lunchtime is over. Ours just now starting. As a matter of fact, let me go put my coat away and everything else so I can come warm up my stuff, man, please. Wow, man, he's right.
To living within his means and saving every penny from excessive and wasteful expenditures.
Wow.
It was not, however, from Jews or Italians that blacks had absorbed their culture. Du Bois's description of the spending habits of blacks in the 1890s was echoed by a contemporary observer, Jacob Riis, who said that the Negro loves fine clothes and good living a good deal more than he does a bank account. Similar observations have been made by many others over the years, inside and outside the black community.
That's because there's so much, it's a lot with that, man. It's a lot of self-doubt. It's a lot of judgment. It's a lot of, it's so much that goes along with that. It's like you do so much to pacify yourselves and those you love so that they feel like they're great. It doesn't make any sense, but it is. I get it. It's like, come on, man. Y'all act like y'all tough. You know what I mean? You act like you the roughest people in the world. Huh? What's up with that? Why you being so insecure? I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, not a psychiatrist. I don't know. I have the slightest clue. But insecurity is a real big reason for that. A real big reason for that. I couldn't start my my video today without having on the perfect hat for the video, and this still might not be the perfect hat. This might not be tilted the way I want it to. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I want to be cool in my I want to look good in my videos. And my ridiculous, goofy looking self probably still don't look cool, but guess what? I feel like I look cool enough to hit that record button because it makes me feel good about myself. I don't get it either. I know. We waste a whole lot of daggone money just so we can impress other people, and it's ridiculous.
Observations have been made by many others over the years, inside and outside the black community. For the lower socioeconomic classes among blacks, Gunnar Myrdal's descriptions of them near the middle of the 20th century still bore a remarkable resemblance to descriptions of Southern whites and their regional forebears in Britain, including less resourcefulness, disorganized family life, lax sexual morals, and recklessness, with tendencies toward aggression and violence. Despite a generally sympathetic approach to the study of blacks in his landmark book, An American Dilemma, which has often been credited with a major influence on the advancement of civil rights, Myrdal also noted the low standards of efficiency, reliability, ambition, and morals actually displayed by the average Negro. He observed something of the devil-may-care attitude in the pleasure-seeking of Negroes, and a general attitude in which life becomes cheap and crime not so reprehensible.
Here's the thing. If you have a people who literally, our children, like when they started making cartoons, it was always making fun of the features of a black person. Literally. Do y'all know what black pride mean? Do you know what that fist in the air mean? It don't mean black power. This don't mean black power. This mean black pride. That's what that mean. It mean everything that we've been made fun of, we're going to start to really accept it as this is our uniqueness. This is beautiful. Our big lips are beautiful. Our big nose is beautiful. Cheekbones are beautiful. Fat ass, beautiful. That's just what it is. Okay, all right, cool. We the cool ones. We want to wear our hats to the side. We want to ride in something clean. We want to walk with a little bop, a little beat. Like when we walk, we going to make sure that people feel us when we walk into a room. That's black pride, and it comes from somewhere. We were just now talking about another subject, and I was just saying the subject sometimes is not the most important thing. Sometimes it's the reason. Can we talk about the reason why? The reason why we are so daggone neglectful and so irresponsible and so insecure. Because some people it's not that easy to flip that switch. Some people still get poked fun of because of their fat nose, big lips. And really, it just happens. There's countries where people are literally, bleaching their skin white right now because they're being bullied and or killed because they're darker skinned. It's literally happening right now. I think I want to say Dominican Republic or Brazil. It's happening in one of those places and other places as well. It's happening. It really is. So yeah, there's a whole bunch going on with this, man. We need to talk about the why. Y'all know how important the why is, right? Like, we need to talk about it sometimes.
And a general attitude in which life becomes cheap and crime not so reprehensible. Like other observers, Myrdal tended to attribute to slavery such aspects of black culture as the low regard for human life, when in fact, antebellum whites had exhibited this same reckless disregard of lethal dangers, and so had their ancestors in Britain. Unlike many others, however, Myrdal also recognized the influence of the Southern white culture on the culture of blacks, pointing out that the general Southern pattern of illegality maintained this low regard for human life. He also noted that the so-called Negro dialect is simply a variation on the ordinary Southern accent, that religious emotionalism was borrowed from and sanctioned by religious behavior among whites in the South.
Of course it was, because that's who taught us religion. We model after our forefathers the same way everyone else modeled themselves after their forefathers. Isn't that what you do? Like, you're taught to be something, and then you create along the way, but you're taught to be something first. You're taught. I don't know why it feels like we just watching people across the street like, ooh, we love the way that white man is preaching the word of God. I'm going to start preaching like him. Yes, sir. What do you say? Yes, sir. Ha! Ha! Lord of mercy. Jesus. Hallelujah. Ha! 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 Act like you spitting something out like, ha! No, it didn't know. Nah. Everything we do is about trying to create our own. And we see, we're taught certain things, but we try to take it and flip it so it could be our own. And that's, again, where that black fist comes up. That's why we have hip-hop, trying to create our own. Y'all don't even know where that came from. That actually prevented a whole lot of, like, crime in inner cities around the country. And that was, like, we did that. That was people who was gang leaders met up and said, you know what, we're not going to fight no more. This is what we're going to do. How about you rhyme against this person, or you break dance against this person, and that's how we settled it, rather than fighting and stabbing and shooting. That's how we settled it. And it's been going on and on and on like that. Every 10 years, the style of hip hop changes, and it's still not respected around the world as a daggone as real music, which is ridiculous. That's another topic, but we'll get into that later. Let's get back into this.
Emotionalism was borrowed from and sanctioned by religious behavior among whites in the South, and that the Negro trait of audaciousness is characteristic of white Southerners too. He quoted black scholar and later statesman Ralph Bunche. White Southerners employ many of the defense mechanisms characteristic of the Negro. They often carry a chip on the shoulder. They indulge freely in self-commiseration. They rather typically and in real Negro fashion try to overcome a feeling of inferiority by exhibitionism, raucousness in dress, and exaggerated self-assertion. Although Dr. Bunche presented these as parallels, historically it was of course the Southern whites who first had these patterns, reflecting patterns among their ancestors in Britain. In much of the literature on black culture, however, the supposed influence of slavery has been far more sweepingly assumed, and the cultural influence of white Southerners and their forebears in Britain largely ignored. Attempts to derive the black manner of speaking from slavery and
How come we're always comparing black people in slavery to white Southerners? How come we're never comparing black people in slavery to white people in slavery? And that's the part. Because we always talk about it. Everybody been enslaved before. All them other countries, it's probably still people being enslaved. How come? Listen, I'm serious about that, because we keep comparing Like, that's where black people got it. They got it from the white Southerners. The black people that was enslaved got it from the white Southerners. What about the black people that was enslaved got it from the white people who were enslaved? People who were running parallel with them.
Its parallel among whites as an influence from black speech were answered by a Southern historian who asked, "From whence came the drawl of the people of the upper Great Plains and of the Blue Ridge, Smoky, and Cumberland Mountains, who have had little or no contact with the Negro?" Another cultural historian of Southerners aptly observed that Southerners, white and black, share the bonds of a common heritage, indeed a common tragedy, and often speak a common language, however seldom they may acknowledge it.
You know, I see one picture of a bunch of people that's look like they're working, and another picture of a bunch of people who are holding guns and look like they are people of stature. So it's not the same. I don't care how many. See, that's why I don't believe facts at face value. I don't buy facts at face value. Never have. Y'all say, well, you're a fool. Somebody actually called me a fool in one of my Jordan Peterson videos, saying that I don't believe anybody simply because they say it's a fact. Why? Who are you? Why should I trust you so much? Because I'm certain that the information that you say is a fact that somebody researched, there's somebody opposing your point of view who also got some facts. Might not be the person in the debate on the panel that I'm reacting to, but I'm certain that there's somebody out there with facts that oppose yours. But even them, I wouldn't listen to them either. I go off of what makes the most sense to me. And that's how I move. And that's how I've been able to be successful in whatever I've been successful at. That's probably the only reason why y'all know me right now. Y'all don't know me or talking to me right now or watching these videos right now because I'm an ignoramus. At some point, we need to, I know what y'all bring to the table. I do. But please know I know some stuff. I just can't back it up by research because I don't know why, man.
And often speak a common language, however seldom they may acknowledge it. Half a century after Myrdal, another study of racial attitudes noted the intimidating ethnic style of many underclass black males and noted that nearly half of all murder victims in America were black, and that 94% of them were killed by other blacks. Many of these killings were due to gang members who killed for such reasons as, "'cause you look at me funny," "'cause you give me no respect," and other reasons reminiscent of the touchy pride and hair-trigger violence of rednecks and crackers in an earlier era. Much of...
"'Cause he look at me funny," "'cause he don't respect me," "'cause he bumped me," "He said something about my mama. I don't know, I just don't like him." Those things are taught, guys. Those things are taught because he look at me funny. Those things are taught. We were taught to do some things, and those things live on down centuries and centuries and centuries later. They still live on. Those spirits still live on. Those things are taught. Those things are taught. Y'all won't believe me until you actually see it for yourself. It was taught, and we need to. That's probably one reason why a lot of schools in inner cities they teach Black history for an entire month, and then they sprinkle it throughout the rest of the year, so that they can teach you the history of your people that you're not going to learn anywhere else. But I want to hear what y'all guys say about this in the comments below. If you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I am Van, and now we are all the LFR family. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video, hopefully inside the Patreon as well. You have been amazing. Love y'all.